All right, we are live. Yay. Yeah. We'll just get a couple people going and then we'll get started. So, Sonia, tell me how the weather is where you're at while we wait for a couple of people to jump on.
Oh man, it's hot. And really humid. It's really awful right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Remind me, where is it you are again?
I am in Austin, Texas.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm from Texas originally, so.
Okay, yeah. And now my daughter is crying. So right now, while things are like about the weather, let me go grab her.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So.
All right, so we will go ahead and get started here in just a second when Sonia gets back. And we are going to be talking about using your creative outlets today. And Sonia has really nailed this one down and really been able to express herself. So I'm really excited to have her talk today about using the creative outlets. Yeah. And what's your daughter's name?
Diana.
Diana. Awesome.
This one's Diana, and I have a 3-year-old also named Phoebe.
Hi, Diana.
So.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So go ahead and tell us your story. Tell you how you kind of your background, how you came into finding your creative outlet and using it, and motherhood and all of the fun stuff.
So my background, always been very artsy to begin with. My family is known for being artists. My great-grandfather was actually a really well-known painter here in Austin, as well as my great-grandmother. And so, like I said, it's just like something I grew up around. It's just always been part of my life. So I guess it's sort of just in my DNA. I mean, it's something that has always surrounded me, which is sort of funny because I've sort of always used it as therapy. But only recently was like, hey, I might be able to like sell artwork if I actually finished my projects. A lot of times I would start a project and then not finish it because I was over whatever depression I was getting through or whatever at the time, and not always motivated to finish it. But and then, I was like, no, I could probably do this professionally. But it definitely started out as just a way for me to have a chance to, whoops.
No, I can still see you.
Okay, good. Have a chance to spend time on myself.
Are you having a really bad connection? Because yours keeps cutting out.
It shouldn't be. Is it better?
No, your camera's off now. There.
Oh, let me try. Diana pushed the button.
Oh.
But it definitely started out as just a way for me to make sure I was giving time to myself. So, yes, you're being distracting.
She's so cute. Well, that's awesome. And I know that you sing as well. I've heard some of your songs. They're so pretty. She has an amazing voice, guys. And I've left her description you can go to her channels below. So make sure to check that out and listen to her because she has a gorgeous voice.
Thank you. That is what I ended up going to school for, actually, was music at Texas State here in Texas. And have always used singing as an outlet as well to convey when I was hurting or in need, you know, sort of my way of reaching out and letting people know that there was something wrong.
Yeah. And how has that helped you as a mom, using this creative outlet, singing and art?
As a mom, like I sort of mentioned before, it's a way that I let people know that it is important that I have my time, you know, and you can sort of measure whether or not I'm getting that time by how long it's been since I've started a project. Or say I started the project, how many weeks has it been since there's been any change? You know, how many weeks has it been since that painting has just been sitting there? You know, so it's sort of a good way, a good like visual representation of whether or not I've been getting that time.
I like that. Really
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's really neat.
So, and I think that really helps because otherwise there's just this feeling that there's no physical tie to measure.
Yeah, yeah. You can express how overwhelmed you feel and how stressed you are, but there's really nothing that you can just throw on the wall and be like, "This is how stressed I am."
Right.
And that's so cool to use that as kind of like your visual reminder, maybe the family's visual reminder, like, "Hey, mom needs a break."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this has been just one stripe of pink for like a month. So.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, your daughter's at a really fun age right now, and I'm sure your 3-year-old doesn't make it.
Yeah, they definitely demand a lot of time.
And so tell me, when you use this, like what made you turn, I know you've always been in art, but what really made you turn to art as your coping mechanism and the outlet for life stress and maybe postpartum and motherhood and stuff like that?
Art is something that you can always do. You don't have to have permission from anyone else to do it. You don't have to wait for someone to say, yes, we like you for this role. You know, you don't have to, you don't always have to have a lot of supplies even. You know, you can make art out of things you have on hand, you know, scrap pieces of paper, scrap pieces of material, you know, whatever you can find. And so it's not demanding and it's not something that you have to wait. You know, you can do it right there, right then, without anyone's permission. And so, especially during my last trimester with my youngest, I was actually on bed rest, and because I went into preterm labor. And so I had no outlet, and I was like, I was doing coloring books, you know, and I said, why am I coloring other people's drawings? Like, I draw.
Yeah,
You know, and that's sort of what got me back into it was doing the coloring books and then saying, this is really funny that I'm sitting here coloring other people's drawings when I draw. And so that sort of got me back into it. But then I spent my entire last trimester of my pregnancy with Diana. I think I did 10 paintings.
Oh my gosh.
Trimester, because that is what I did because I was on bed rest. And like I said, but you can do that because, you know, again, you don't need anyone's permission. You can do it sitting in bed. You can do it with the materials you have. You know, and you can tell someone what to go get you if you do need supplies, you know, because it's things you can get from a store. You don't have to, you know, unlike singing, you know, it takes physical, you know, you have to be able to stand up and use your body to sing, you know, and at that point in time, that's not something I could do. You know, my doctor was like, you need to stop doing that, you know, so, you know, so that's.
So how would you, what are some ways you would suggest other moms who to like tap into their creative outlet? Because, you know, not everybody is just naturally creative and they're just kind of like, oh, like, how do I do that? Because it is a great outlet. I love, you know, creating movies and doing stuff like that. And so That's a really great creative outlet for me. I've always been artistic too, which I kind of stopped tapping into that, but it's been really fun starting my YouTube channel to get back into that creative side. And what would you suggest moms to kind of tap into that who maybe aren't as creative naturally?
So I know what helped me was starting simple, starting with the coloring books. What is something that's out there? People like me, like you, use our creativity to connect and to make that easier for other people to join us in doing. So getting out there and looking at art kits, looking at things other people have started that you just pick up and finish, I think is a great way to get started. As opposed to feeling like you have to do it from scratch all the time,
Yeah.
And then also, like, I think it is really important to, every day, a couple of minutes to have true quiet in your day somewhere where you can hear yourself think and feel, even if it's just 2 minutes, because in that 2 minutes you can hear your heart, and maybe your heart already knows what it is longing for, whether that's painting or singing or needlepoint or knitting. Oh, there's so many different creative forms out there, jewelry making, whatever it is. You don't know that until you've given yourself a chance to long for it, and you're not going to long for it. Sorry.
Someone pressing some buttons.
Yeah, press the button. You're not going to long for it unless you've given yourself that quietness, and it doesn't take a long time. It just takes a minute or two.
Yeah. But maybe make a day out of it and go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and kind of see where your heart takes you in the store.
And I have like a friend of mine, like that is what we do as like our friend date. We just go to Michael's and like we have so much fun. And our 2 older daughters now are getting old enough they can come with us. And like I know my daughter and her daughter, they're both already getting into art. And so like they love it. They love getting to go pick out their new watercolor book and so yeah.
And so what are some ways you suggest moms using their creative outlet? Maybe like you said, they're stepping into it and just starting with coloring books, something that they can do as an entire family and just kind of get everybody to get that creativity, because it's always good. We're always looking to get our kids connected and get our kids using their creative outlets. Maybe something that we can do as moms to use it as well, that we would enjoy as well as the kids. What would you suggest?
So I have had so much fun, like I was sort of just saying, taking my daughter with me to Michael's and letting her, pick out some of the art supplies from her age group. And I'm surprised sometimes how much fun those things are. Like they have some like really fun things now for all kids of all ages that are really artistic. My favorite part, things that don't make that much of a mess.
That's a good key there.
Yeah, sort of like mess-free products that I really enjoy. The funny thing is, my daughter is very independent. And so she doesn't actually let me do a whole lot with her when it comes to her artwork. Like, no, Mom, I don't want your input.
Independent, ready to roll.
Like she wants to do, she's fine if I'm working on my own project next to her, but she doesn't want me like helping her with her project at all. So we have to do things as a family, but also, but not together. So, but that is what we do. So like if she's coloring in her coloring book, I color in my coloring book. I don't use her crayons because they're hers.
And maybe that, you know, because some moms are so busy and so stressful. I know sometimes you feel overwhelmed and you don't get that break that, you know, those 2 minutes, it's just, sometimes that sounds like the longest 2 minutes of your life. Maybe
Right.
use those times with your kids if you can't get away
Right.
to use that as your creative outlet. And even like you said, if it's just coloring in a coloring book, something, it's very therapeutic
Right.
and it's very, you know, relieving of the soul, really. I feel like it just kind of brings your spirits back up, and whatever it is that you're going through, I feel like art really can just kind of
Yes.
let that out. And
And honestly, like anytime, even if it's just coloring in a Disney coloring book, you know, or whatever it is with my 3-year-old, sitting down and doing something quiet and expressive with her a minute or two of the day is grounding for both of us. And I think it's important that we have that opportunity.
yeah, I love that. And what is your absolute favorite thing to do as a family, like creatively? Like, what is y'all's like, oh, this is my absolute favorite thing to do with my kids, using that creative outlet?
So right now, it changes all the time. But right now, our favorite is chalk outside, sidewalk chalk, because it's so much fun to use and you can play games with it. And we're getting really into, Phoebe's just now sort of getting into writing names, and you can write them really big and you know, and then it's easy to wash away and start over, you know, which is always fun because with other materials, when it's filled with color, it's filled with color, and then you have to use more paper or, you know, and then it's like, oh, we're going through all this paper, you know. The sidewalk chalk is sort of nice because you just wash it and then it's away, and then you've got this new blank canvas on your sidewalk again,
I
you
love
know.
chalk. Yeah.
And she actually got a really fun set, like for her birthday, where she turned 3 just this past month. And so, like, we were all like getting into sidewalk chalk again. We didn't even know that they made all these fun new types of sidewalk chalk, but
Yeah.
they've gotten into creating like new types of sidewalk chalk. I was like, I didn't know they made sidewalk chalk.
I just thought chalk was chalk, so that's good to know. It's really cool.
So yeah, it's sort of one of those things where you grow up and you forget that these things change. You know, they're like still improving on sidewalk chalk because there are still kids out there. You know.
Yeah. Especially with Michael, he's our first, so it's like, all right, like what cool new activities can we do? I'm always trying to get him, you know, to use his creative side, and you know, with his toys, but his toys, he knows his toys, so it's like, all right, what's some cool new stuff to do? So that's a really great idea once he stops sticking everything in his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Diane.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then any other tips or tricks and suggestions for tapping into their creative sides as moms?
I would say just experiment. You know, try a whole bunch of different things, and if it gives you joy, keep doing it. And if it doesn't bring you joy, then don't do it. And if it is stressful or it starts turning into something that is adding stress, take a break, you know, or try something else. You know, the point is it's supposed to be for you, not for everyone else.
Yeah.
So, and I have to remind myself of that too now that I've turned it into my professional life, that it's okay for me to sometimes just do it for myself. You know? So I think that's the biggest measure of whether or not it's working for you is it bringing you joy?
Awesome. I like that. Yeah, I know when I was younger, my mom loves like knitting and sewing and all that, and that's just like not my thing. I
Yeah.
tried it and it just wasn't my thing. I've always been more into like, you know, the coloring and the drawing and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff and the like, you know, production of stuff, but sewing wasn't my thing. And I've always wanted to try making, I always see these moms making their wreaths prints, you know, for the doors, and I've always wanted to try making one.
Yeah.
I've never gotten around to it, but I'm like, okay, where do I even start? But maybe that is something I will pick up and try this fall or the holidays.
Gotta make the time for it. Yeah.
Video, make a wreath with me, and we'll see how good or not that comes out, and I'll make sure to tag you on that one.
Please do.
Like,
And I will.
Advice, and I'm experimenting.
Yes. Please tag me, and I will send you some of my experience of things that I don't post on my Instagram.
The wreath fail or wreath win.
Yeah, because I have some of those.
Yeah, we all will. Yes, that's the fun of experimenting, though. It's for you. So if it's a huge fail or flop, we won't say fail. We'll fail forward and say, maybe this isn't what we're meant to do.
And sometimes, like, there are moments where I say, I should really put this on my Instagram page, just because everyone needs a little bit of a reality check every now and then.
Yeah.
You know?
We're not all perfect.
There's like beautiful stuff on your Instagram, and you know, it gives the illusion that like you produce all this beautiful stuff all the time, or you know, whatever, and then but you forget that behind all of those, you know, paintings that sell, or you know, all of that are, you know, failed attempts. So,
how many times did it actually take to make this one little flower right here?
The blooper reel.
Yes. Yeah, and especially with kids too, because you could get in the zone with whatever outlet that you're doing, and then you know something happens, you walk away, and you try to like get back into that zone, and it's gone.
Yeah. I have a painting that I will never sell. It's my original. Luckily, I took a picture of it, so I can still sell the prints. But the original painting, I walked away for about 5 minutes, and Phoebe walked into the room, and I had no idea. And she got the paintbrush and just did her own.
Oh my God!
Right over on top of the original I had just finished.
Oh no!
Taking a picture of it too, and I was like, well, at least I got the picture, so I can sell the print. But I didn't, like, my husband was like, you can always, you know, fix it. I was like, it took me like several weeks to do this painting, and I was so over painting it at this time. I was like, I do not want to work on this painting ever again. Like, I am it was hard. I don't want to mess with it anymore. I want to be done, so it's done. I can sell the prints, but yeah, I was
like, you're like, oh, that's hard. It's like when you clean your house. Like yesterday, I think I posted it, and I had literally just cleaned the floors, vacuumed, mopped, done all that. And as soon as those Cheerios all over the floor, and creates this masterpiece, like knocking over chairs and just being a baby. And I'm just like, why do I clean? Why do I clean? That was my masterpiece.
I think that to myself every day, probably.
Yeah.
And then I do clean because I forget. And then I clean, and then I go, oh yeah, this is why. This is why I don't clean.
Yeah, you're like, okay, well, on to the next one. I'll just start coloring, and he can color wherever he pleases. Get a big piece of that paper. What is that large paper? The roll paper?
Butcher paper.
Yes, butcher paper, and throw it on the floor and let him have some fun.
Yeah. I say why not.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for jumping on, Sonya.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate all the tips and using your creative outlet. I love that. That's such great tips. You know, just experimenting, going to Michael's, making you know, like a family date of it. Grab a girlfriend and go to Michael's, see where your hearts lead you, and go from there. And if that isn't exactly what brings you joy, then on to the next thing and keep trying until you find something that really brings you joy. And it really will, if you are feeling stressed, overwhelmed, maybe just, you know, dealing with postpartum, it is a really good creative outlet. So, or a really good outlet to let that stress.
Something that you can do from bed, you know, that sort of thing. Because I know, especially if you are going through postpartum, you know, getting out of bed can be the hardest thing to do in the world sometimes. So if you found something that you can keep the colors in a coloring book right there in your nightstand drawer, you can do that from bed, you know.
Or if you're nursing or anything like that, you can literally just grab a coloring book and be right there. I love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I look forward to talking with you again soon. That was great.
Yay.
Bye bye, Diana.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.